Good afternoon. On behalf of Pelham Medical Center and Spartanburg Regional Healthcare System, I welcome everyone and thank you for joining us today. I'm Lindsay Lewis, the Interim Manager of Community Outreach. If you have any questions in the upcoming presentation, please type them in the Q&A box and I will ask them to Jennifer at the end of the presentation. Today's presentation is titled Superfoods, Unleashing Their Superpowers. Jennifer Almy is our presenter today. She is a clinical nutrition manager at Pelham Medical Center and Union Medical Center. We're very pleased to have Jennifer join us today for this presentation. Welcome, Jennifer. I'll now turn this presentation over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay, and hello and welcome to all of you. As Lindsay mentioned, we are going to be talking today about superfoods. That term has been common over the past few months and years as new superfoods tend to kind of come in and leave. Some have really stayed and kind of won the test of time, and those are the ones we're going to be talking about today. Superfoods tend to be nutritionally dense. They are an excellent source most often of omega-3 or omega-6 fatty acids, if they have any fats in them. They're often rich in phytochemicals. They're filled with soluble fiber. Soluble fiber is a fiber that dissolves in water and can help promote a healthy gastrointestinal tract. They're packed often with multiple vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and they are overall beneficial for your health and well-being. The actual definition of a superfood, if you look it up in the dictionary, is that it is a food that is rich in compounds considered to be beneficial to our health. In my opinion, a superfood needs to have at least 3 or 4 good things to make it super. So let's begin. The first one I'd like to talk about would be eggs. Eggs are considered a super protein or a complete protein as they contain all 9 essential amino acids. Amino acids are building blocks for proteins, and there are 9 that we cannot produce on our own. So we need to get them from food sources. And while you can eat a combination of several foods to get those 9 amino acids, eating eggs gives them all to you at once. Eating eggs can help you feel fuller longer. We call that satiety. You're satisfied, and therefore it can help you decrease your overall calorie intake later that morning. If you tend to eat a breakfast with eggs included, you may not need a mid-morning snack, and you may be able to make it till your lunchtime break before you need to eat something else. Eggs support heart and brain health, and they have many, many protective benefits for the liver. Your liver is an important organ and does so much in your body, so keeping your liver healthy is incredibly important. Eggs are excellent for vision. They contain lutein, which is a carotenoid that helps to prevent age-related macular disease. So eggs are going to be very, very important. It is best to try to eat eggs either as the whole egg or as an egg white. The egg white is where the protein is located. The egg yolk has the cholesterol and the fat. So if you have some concerns about your cholesterol level, maybe consider eating just egg whites. Personally, I eat eggs probably 5 days a week as part of my breakfast. Sometimes egg whites, sometimes a whole egg scrambled. In recent years, and kind of eggs are usually, they've gotten a bad rap. And that is because they are often combined with high fat, high salt items at breakfast. So for example, an egg McMuffin or an egg sandwich with sausage and bacon and cheese from a local fast food restaurant is not going to be a healthy way to add eggs to your diet. Having 2 scrambled eggs with a piece of toast and some fruit, that's going to be how you want to add them to your diet. A healthier way to do it. Our next food are berries, would be berries. And when I say berries, I mean raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, cranberries, lingonberries, any berry possible is going to be wonderful in your diet, whether it is fresh or frozen. Berries are high in polyphenols, which can help lower your blood pressure and lower your blood lipid levels. They can promote weight loss. In particular, blueberries can help inhibit fat cell growth and distribution in your body. Now, that is something that happens on a very small cellular level. So eating a handful of blueberries a few times a week, you're not necessarily going to see pounds lost in such a quick way, but it does happen and they are beneficial in your diet. All berries are very high in fiber, vitamin C, and multiple anti-inflammatory agents. Berries are delicious at any meal. They are delicious as a dessert, as a side dish, on top of oats or yogurt or salads. One of the best ways to include frozen berries in your diet is to throw them into a smoothie and have that as a meal or in conjunction with other items, usually at breakfast. But frozen berries are excellent to put in a smoothie. Our next food are oats. Oats are probably considered one of the best overall cereals and grains. They are loaded with fiber, which promotes good intestinal bacterial growth. They also are very high in protein, higher than most other grains. We'll talk about another grain in a moment, but oats are loaded with fiber and protein. They are an excellent source of manganese, magnesium, vitamin B1, copper, and biotin. All items that we don't think about. We don't think about how much manganese we're eating, but we do need it. So by eating oats several times a week, know you're getting what you need. As I said, oats promote healthy intestinal bacteria. In your GI or gastrointestinal tract, you have good bacteria and bad bacteria. And we want to promote the good bacteria so it can cancel out the bad and promote healthy absorption of your nutrients. That's what the bacteria is there to do. Oats can also increase your satiety and help you feel fuller longer. Possibly eating oats at breakfast can again help you get to lunch without needing a mid-morning snack. Oats digest slowly, so they can help stabilize blood sugar levels, and they are a gluten-free grain. However, I will caution that cross-contamination can happen in packaging facilities. So if you have any concerns whatsoever about your intake of gluten and you need to be gluten-free, please check the package labeling to make sure it was packaged in a facility that did not package any gluten or wheat items. You could try rolled oats or steel cut varieties. This is a great place to add some of your berries, cinnamon, or nuts to enhance the flavor and give it a little bit of something exciting. What I would caution against are the highly sugary flavored instant oatmeal packs, the maple and brown sugar or the banana nut or apple cinnamon. While they taste delicious and they're easy to prepare, they are often high in added sugars. So we want to just take the plain non-sugar version of oats in your morning. Next up, we're going to talk about green tea. Green tea is the second most, is the second most consumed beverage worldwide behind water. Green tea is an unfermented version of tea and is probably the best version overall. Green tea is high in flavonoids and that have antioxidant profile. And there's also caffeine in green tea. You can also get decaf, but the caffeine in green tea can help enhance weight loss. Now, if you're thinking caffeine, the caffeine that you're getting in green tea, while it's the same as the caffeine in a Coke or a Starbucks Frappuccino, the green tea is giving you healthy antioxidants where the Starbucks Frappuccino or the Coke or Pepsi or Mountain Dew are giving you very high levels of sugar that we do not need. So getting your caffeine with a cup of green tea, maybe mid-afternoon at 3 o'clock might be a better choice than going through the Starbucks drive-through and getting one of those high sugar drinks. Green tea can improve insulin sensitivity. It has a prebiotic effect, and the prebiotic effect is that it feeds the good intestinal bacteria in your gut. So I've talked about that intestinal bacteria that we want, but green tea helps feed it and promote it. Green tea has also been found to have some positive cardiovascular effects when consumed regularly. that would be stroke prevention and the decrease of cholesterol and the decrease of blood pressure. And as I said, green tea, or actually tea, excuse me, is one of the most consumed beverages worldwide after water. So it is out there. Next up, we'll talk about yogurt. Yogurt can be made from any of the milks, goat milk, cow's milk, along with live and active cultures. Yogurt is probably one of the best things you can eat to promote digestive health. It helps control blood sugar levels, and it is an excellent source of protein, vitamin D, and calcium. Greek yogurt in particular tends to have a higher amount of protein than some of the other regular yogurts. And pretty much everyone I know is low in vitamin D or calcium, so we can all use a little boost in both of those nutrients. It can be, as I said, made from any milks with live and active cultures. It is probably the single best food source of probiotics that can promote your intestinal health. And when consumed regularly, it can decrease your total cholesterol, type 2 diabetes risk, certain cancers, and obesity. Yogurt can be used as a base of a smoothie with that frozen fruit I mentioned earlier. Sticking with vanilla or plain yogurt will be your best bet. Most of the fruited yogurts that are already pre-prepared and pre-packaged have fruit syrups in them, as well as the fruit, which greatly increase the sugar content. So next time you go to the grocery store and you see that huge wall of yogurts, take a minute to really think about which ones you're selecting. Turn the packages over and look at the label. Look for the sugar content and make sure you're selecting a flavor that has less sugar than possibly others you may have selected in the past. I tend to stick with vanilla or plain yogurt and then add my own fruit. Blueberries would be a great example, or nuts, chia seeds, or granola. Any of those items on top of it makes it a great addition as a breakfast or even a side at your lunch. Next up, we're going to talk about kale. Kale has, it's hard to love kale just because of the taste of it. It has kind of a bitter taste, but once you get used to it, and if you kind of blend it in and mix it into certain foods, you can actually learn to love it. Kale is a part of the cruciferous vegetable family, which includes broccoli, bok choy, cabbage, and collard greens. They are all excellent greens, but kale stands out a little bit more so. It is high in two particular antioxidants, quercetin and camphorol. It is also high in omega-3 fats, vitamin K, which we'll talk about in a moment, vitamin C, calcium, magnesium, potassium, lutein, and zeaxanthin. Those last two, lutein and the zeaxanthin, are very important for eye health. So eating that bitter tasting kale can really help your vision. Kale is low in oxalates, which again I'll mention in a bit when I talk about spinach on my next slide. But kale contains 45 different flavonoids, and that is a lot. Flavonoids are phytonutrients or plant chemicals that provide the deep colors in the fruits and vegetables you eat. So if you think of kale and spinach and some of those deep colored greens versus a piece of iceberg lettuce, you are getting a whole lot more goodness, nutrients, flavonoids for sure in the kale and the spinach and those leafy greens than you would in a piece of iceberg lettuce. Kale can also decrease cholesterol levels, and in certain studies has been shown to work better than some cholesterol-lowering medications. So sometimes adapting a healthy diet can help you get off some other medications that you may be on. Kale can be used as a base of salads, along with any other of those dark leafy green vegetables. Again, your salad should have that deep, beautiful green color as opposed to kind of the pale, watery look of the iceberg lettuce. A piece of iceberg lettuce is great on a sandwich, but not the base of your salad. Kale can also be steamed or sauteed and served with other vegetables. I know I've had it several times, sauteed with butternut squash, and it's absolutely delicious. If you're not a fan of the taste, you can add it to smoothies. It'll be diced up in there. You won't even know that you're drinking it. As I mentioned earlier, it is high in vitamin K. And if you take blood thinners, you're going to want to check with your physician or other medical provider before consuming large amounts of kale due to its high vitamin A content. So, having it once or twice a week might be fine, but having it daily might not be a good idea. Please check with your physician. Next up, we're going to talk about spinach, which is another amazing leafy green. Spinach can help decrease your risk of breast and prostate cancer, decrease your blood pressure. It's high again in those eye health nutrients, lutein and zeaxanthin. It is high in vitamin A, C, K, folic acid, iron, and calcium. There was a reason Popeye always had spinach. It is a powerful food. It is high in insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber is not dissolved in water, and what it does is helps to promote GI movement and regularity. So it helps to promote bulk in your stools and keep you regular. The only trick with two tricks actually with spinach is that it is high in vitamin K, which I just mentioned on the previous slide with kale. You'll want to check with your physician about that, but it's also high in oxalates, and oxalates are a chemical or a chemical actually that will inhibit calcium absorption. So if you have a history of kidney stones or possibly are concerned about the kidney stone development, you'll want to avoid large amounts of spinach. Those oxalates, like I said, inhibit calcium formation, and that can inhibit calcium absorption, and that can promote the formation of kidney stones. Finally, spinach is also high in some flavonoids, quercetin and camphorol in particular, and multiple phytonutrients. Spinach should be the base of your salad if you can eat it. It can be added to smoothies just like kale. Spinach tends to have a little bit of a better taste and is easy, especially the baby spinach, easy to consume. If you take blood thinners, again, check with your physician before eating large amounts of spinach. Next up, we're going to talk about nuts. And before I go any further, nuts are not a superfood whatsoever if you have any tree nut or peanut allergies. So please, allergy comes first. If there's any suspect of tree nut or peanut allergies, please avoid nuts altogether. If you don't have any nut allergies, nuts are great. They're high in calories and protein and omega-3 fats. They are about the perfect afternoon snack. A handful of raw unsalted nuts and a piece of fruit at 3 o'clock is a great snack to take you from lunch to dinner. Nuts can help you feel fuller longer. They are high in good fats, as I mentioned, those omega-3 fats. They are high in fiber, so they help your gastrointestinal tract keep things moving along. They can also decrease the risk of heart disease, cholesterol, inflammation, diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome. All those things are related, and sometimes just changing one or two things in your diet can really affect all of those disease states. Nuts should be enjoyed raw and unsalted. That's how they're healthiest, honestly. These heavy salted nuts, just as a high sodium level, or sometimes they can be coated with cinnamon sugar and some other things, but really they should be enjoyed raw and unsalted. You can add them to salads, crush them and put them on top of oats. You can eat them alone as a snack. But do be cautious of some of the nut bars that are out there. They are often found at your health food stores, and they are in the organic healthy aisle. And so you think, yeah, this is a good thing. But oftentimes they contain added syrups and sugars, and those syrups and sugars are put in there to help hold that together and create the formation of that nut bar. So just be cautious. Try to avoid things that have added sugars. Having, like I said, nuts raw and unsalted on their own is probably your best bet. Next, we're going to talk about cinnamon. And there are really two big types of cinnamon out there. Ceylon cinnamon, which is true cinnamon. And that is kind of a more expensive, rare variety of cinnamon. or cassia cinnamon, which is more common. It is probably the cinnamon that we all have in our pantry, and if a recipe calls for a teaspoon of cinnamon, that's what we're going to use. The cassia cinnamon is fine, but in large quantities, it can be toxic because it contains coumarin. So you want to be careful. There's a reason cinnamon comes in a shaker and you just sprinkle a little bit. You don't want to overdo it. Either kind of cinnamon can boost your metabolism, therefore counteracting obesity by slowing gastric emptying. So it kind of slows the time it takes to empty your stomach contents. It has antioxidant properties, antimicrobial properties, anti-inflammatory properties, and even just using a quarter teaspoon a day can have significant effect on blood sugar, cholesterol, triglyceride, and the incidence of type 2 diabetes. So cinnamon is something that you can just sprinkle on oats or whole grain cereal. You can use it in coffee or tea. I tend to sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon in my coffee each morning. Like I said, just a little bit of the cassia cinnamon, the Ceylon, or the more expensive kind of fancy variety of cinnamon you could probably use a little bit more of. Next up, we're going to talk about quinoa. Quinoa is the other grain I had mentioned earlier. We were talking about oats, and this is kind of the other grain. It is kind of thought of as a grain, but it's technically a seed. So it kind of is in both of those. It is very high in fiber and protein, and it is also a super protein or a complete protein in that it contains all 9 of the essential amino acids that our body cannot produce. Quinoa is high in magnesium, iron, and potassium. It has flavonoids as well, which we've seen already, quercetin and camphorol. It is a gluten-free food, so if you have concerns about gluten, you're safe with quinoa. It can increase your satiety, making you feel fuller longer, and it can help control blood sugar levels. Concerns with quinoa are that it is high in oxalates, kind of like spinach was. So you want to make sure you are not consuming large amounts if you have any concerns about kidney stones. The other thing with quinoa is that you want to rinse it thoroughly prior to cooking to remove a toxin. It's kind of a natural pesticide that is on it called saponin. But you could cook it and serve it on salads as a side dish instead of rice or pasta. Oftentimes at home, I'll make quinoa in my rice cooker. I just set it, turn it on, let it do its thing, and then you can put it in the refrigerator once cooled and have it for a few days in a row as a small side item. I tend to put it on top of a salad for a little bit of a protein boost. Quinoa has kind of become more popular in recent years. And the last food we're going to talk about are chia seeds. I don't know if you've ever seen chia seeds, but they are the tiniest little things. If you ever spill them, you will. They are teeny tiny. I have spilled them before, and they are impossible to clean up, but they are a powerful, powerful food. They are a gluten-free food. They are very high in omega-3 and omega fats. They are loaded with antioxidants in such a small, tiny item. They're high in soluble fiber. If you've ever mixed chia seeds in with something like yogurt or water, you'll see that they dissolve and kind of swell up in water. And they are a very, very high quality protein. Adding chia seeds to your foods or anything, even your yogurt or your smoothie or to a salad, or even baking them into a bread is going to very, very quickly increase the nutritive value of that food. A quarter to a half teaspoon of chia seeds is plenty. That's all you need, a small, small amount. They have incredible health benefits for being such a tiny little seed. And you can find them at pretty much any grocery store now. Again, kind of like quinoa, they've become more popular in recent years. Like I said, you can mix them in yogurt, smoothies, or add them to salads. Chia is the Mayan word for strength, and they've been used for many, many, many years as a medicinal food in Central and South America. So there is something good going on with chia seeds. So we need to find a way to sneak them into your diet if possible. Some other top contenders. These are other foods that I try to recommend to patients and include in my own diet. Coffee, as long as we're not loading it with too many high fat, high sugar things. Dark chocolate is another great one. The higher the percentage of the chocolate, the 82 or the 85 or even the 72%, the lower the sugar content. So milk chocolate's got a lot of actual sugar in it, but the dark chocolate that has the higher percentage is a better selection for you. Flax seeds, red wine, olive oil, artichokes, broccoli is another amazing food. It's a cruciferous vegetable related to kale. Broccoli is an easy one you could just microwave a frozen bag of broccoli and it can be a perfect addition to your dinner each night. Apples are excellent, beans, asparagus, turmeric, which is a spice, and salmon, which is a fish we all know to be high in good, healthy fats. There's so much more to say about all of these others, but these are also excellent things to add in your diet in addition to the ones I've already spoken about. Now, by no means are these two lists all that are out there. There are many other superfoods out there. You want to make sure that if you're consuming things, you really know why you're consuming them and that you're getting a health benefit from them. So kind of look at labels and read things and see what things say to make sure you're getting something good. So you're not just eating fat or salt or sugar. You want to get those phytonutrients, those good chemicals, some fiber, and protein for sure. Couple final thoughts. Superfoods are only super when they're part of a healthy, balanced diet. Eating a really healthy breakfast of oatmeal with some cinnamon on it and blueberries is not going to cancel out having a kind of high-fat McDonald's Big Mac and fries for lunch. You need to have a healthy diet in general and make sure that these are a part of that healthy diet. Like I said, they're not going to cancel out the effects of constantly eating high fried foods, sugary beverages, and fast foods. And superfoods need to be part of an overall balanced lifestyle. For us to be healthy, we not only need to eat a healthy diet, but we need daily physical activity. Even if that is just walking for 30 minutes outside, we live somewhere beautiful that we can be outdoors much of the year. So daily physical activity, adequate sleep. I know no one that gets enough sleep for sure. And stress management, just being aware of all of these components, they all add to an overall balanced lifestyle. So diet, activity, sleep, and stress management. And finally, superfood components, the antioxidants, the flavonoids, all those chemicals that I mentioned are best consumed in their natural form in these natural foods. Supplements are out there on the market at your Whole Food stores or supplement stores, and they're fine and helpful on occasion, but it's always best to get the food and those components in their natural state. We do provide outpatient nutrition services at Pelham Medical Center. We do see both pediatric and adult patients with any of the following, whether it is heart health or gastrointestinal issues, concerns, wound healing, food allergies, malnutrition, weight loss or weight gain, enteral nutrition, or just the use of oral supplements. A physician's referral is required for all new patients. Please feel free to take down that information, the phone number or the email, and contact me with any questions, or if you are interested in any of those therapy services. We'd be more than happy to answer your questions for you and get back to you on that. But today we're going to see if there are any questions related to our presentation. Lindsay?
Jennifer, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I know I learned a lot, and we do actually have quite a few questions, so I'll try to get to as many as I can today. The first question I do see on here is, how many berries should you eat per day? Half a cup, a full cup? What do you think?
You know, I would say about a half a cup each day is fine. You could have a little bit more. Half a cup to 3/4 a cup of berries would be fine each day. As long as you're including them, I'm not too picky about the amounts.
Wonderful. There are a couple questions about nuts. So are there any particular nuts that are better for you or have better benefits than others?
They're all good. Some have higher fat levels or fat contents, but pistachios, cashews, almonds tend to be the ones that are a little bit better for you. So maybe focus on those. But if you're eating raw nuts, like a raw mixed nut you know, if you get them that way at the grocery store, you should be fine. But again, the ones I might focus on would be pistachios, almonds, cashews, and maybe even walnuts.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Another question is talking about flax seeds. So do you need to grind up flax seeds for them to work best?
Yes, usually you do. Flax seeds tend to be, they work best when they're ground, and including them in smoothies is probably one of the best ways to add them to your diet.
Okay. And then also with flax seeds, the question is, what can you tell us about any benefits that are associated with them? So why are they good for us?
Well, that's probably part of a whole other presentation for me to list some of those things. Flax seeds in general just have some, they help your gastrointestinal tract. So adding those will help promote some good bacteria.
Okay, good. And then talking about green tea, the question is, does decaf coffee and decaf green tea still have the same benefits as caffeinated?
Yes, they really do. You're just missing the caffeine, but any of the other phytochemicals that I mentioned, they still have it. So the decaf green tea or the decaf coffee will have the good phytochemicals. I tend to drink some decaf green tea at night. I don't really want it, you know, at 3 o'clock or in the middle of the afternoon. So I tend to have a cup of the decaf at night. So I know I'm getting those phytochemicals without the caffeine.
Okay. And in terms of the green tea, do you have any specific brands or certain types of green tea that you get at the grocery store that you find that are better than others?
You know, whatever's on sale. I really don't have anything in particular that I buy. Just any of the brands are usually fine.
Okay, wonderful. And then in terms of yogurt, do you still, if somebody is lactose intolerant or has trouble digesting dairy, do you still get the same benefits of yogurt if it's dairy free?
Yes, you do. You're just missing the lactose component, which is just a sugar. So you're getting all the other benefits. Yeah.
Okay.
You're getting the protein and all the other good stuff. Yes, totally.
Perfect. And there's just a couple more questions before we wrap up. One of the questions is it possible to overeat superfoods?
You know, as I mentioned with the concerns with oxalates, with the quinoa and the spinach, yes, it is. You know, if you do have concerns about kidney stones, there are certain things you want to be careful, and those two would be definitely foods you'd want to watch for, watch your intake of, I should say. And then, like I said, with the kale and the spinach, the high vitamin K content. So those would be specific examples, but something like berries or oats, yogurt, those you really don't have to limit. You know, you don't want to overdo anything. You want to eat everything in moderation. So having these superfoods 2, 3, 4 times a week is great. If you have 1 or 2 superfoods in your diet each day, that is great. Variety is the spice of life, and you want to kind of change it up and eat different things and have things in moderation. That's kind of my my usual mantra and kind of what I try to live by. Okay,
thank you. One more question that just came in before I come with the last question is, one of the people asked if you have ever worked with someone who is a Wimple surgery survivor. They say a lot of food bothers them.
Yes, and I can understand that it would. So that would be something I'd be more than happy to discuss with that person individually. I'd have to know a little bit more about their medical history and kind of what what the procedure was and when it was. But yeah, anytime you've had any sort of intestinal surgeries, there are a lot of foods that are hard to tolerate. So that's kind of an individual type situation.
Okay, thank you. I can share your information again with everybody that's on today. My last question is, before we wrap up, is do you have any suggestions for eating superfoods while traveling? Summer's coming up and a lot of people might be traveling. Do you have any suggestions for that?
Plan ahead. If you know you're going to be traveling, if you're going to be out and about, and you know the only place you're going to be able to stop is a McDonald's or some other fast food place, plan ahead. Plan some snacks. Get a great water bottle. Get a good cooler bag. Pack some nuts and some fruits and yogurt as snacks. Those are all amazing things. pre-pack a salad with some spinach or kale or any of the other things I mentioned, but just planning ahead so that your only option is not to stop at a fast food restaurant or somewhere like a gas station where you have to grab something. And if you do and you have some snacks with you, then maybe you can just get that grilled chicken sandwich instead of the fried chicken sandwich and fries and a soda. So you can kind of make better choices when you're out and about. So just plan ahead. Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Jennifer, thank you again for that wonderful presentation. Everybody, thank you for joining us, and be on the lookout for our upcoming presentations next month. Thank you.